right, welcome back to the IMNerdpodcast, guys. I'm your host, Freeway, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Kenny.
If I could fall
into
the sky. Anyway.
So we were just listening to Who I Smoke, which is a song that came out 2 years ago. It's basically a sample of, here's her name, Vanessa Carlton, that song, 1,000 Miles. And yeah, it's a gangster rap song version of that. And it's very dark. Look it up on YouTube if you're interested, but it's called Who I Smoke. And the video is actually amazing, even though they are straight up talking about some of the wildest, darkest shit you will ever hear. But if you're kind of into gangster rap, then you know what it is. Anyways, that is not the topic of today's episode. We are back just to kind of, rant and talk to you. It's been a while since we had an episode where we don't have either a guest or just like something really big to cover. So this is a good opportunity
to talk to the people,
Yes.
One-on-one.
Yes. We can go through some listener letters. We can talk about current events and what's been going on in the world. Also, Kenny, I can't actually see you anymore. It says stream pause. There we go. I can see you again.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So hold on, wait, real quick. If I do this, does it say stream paused?
Right now, nothing is pausing the stream.
All right, cool. Well, then, good.
Okay. But yeah, so we have a couple things to go through, but Kenny and I recently were together because our good friend Cairo King, aka a true hero, he was in the United States for a week following nationals because he lives in Korea. He's since returned to Korea at the time of this recording, but he's been here all week. So we got together and it was like 6 of us. We all went out to a hot pot restaurant called Chubby Cattle in Philadelphia's Chinatown section. And it's one of my favorite restaurants in the city, despite the fact that over the years, the service and stuff has definitely declined a bit from when it was at its peak. They've taken several things off the menu, which is a little disheartening. But they did do something that I appreciate, which is they made it an all-you-can-eat type thing where you pay $40 a person, I think it is, and you can order as much as you want. But there are some caveats. So before we get into that part, I'll say, right, because that's going to lead into the story.
Y'all were tripping.
That's going to lead into the story. So before we get into that real quick, I want to say what it used to be. So before, I used to go with like Steve Sobman, Vinny Casello, Corey Fowler, like all my friends that you see me going to Yu-Gi-Oh events with. And these people have all like topped the Edison events and stuff like that as well. I would go with them to Chinatown to this Chubby Cattle restaurant, and they would have these things called Wagyu skewers, which are just beef skewers, really, really good quality meat. And they were absolutely insane. Okay. They were fucking outrageously good. And one day we went there and we were like, yo, can we get like 6 orders of the Wagyu skewers, one for every person at the table? And then they were like, oh, we don't have those anymore. And immediately everyone just started looking around like, yo, that's one of the reasons why we even go to this restaurant. So we were like, damn, what happened? Like, why'd they take it off? They were like, yeah, it was just really costly to give them at that price. And then Silverman, of course, was just like, well, we'll pay whatever it is that they cost for us to get them. Like, can you make them? We'll just pay. Like, you can mark them up. Cause I think they were $4 per skewer, which to me wasn't even that much, but like, it is just literally a tiny fucking toothpick with like 3 chunks of beef on it. It was worth it to me. Maybe some people might have felt like for $4 that's a little too much and they took it off the menu or whatever. But Silverman and I and pretty much everyone at the table were like, we will pay. If you double the price, we'll pay it. And they were like, no, sorry, we can't do that. Like, they're just completely off the menu. So that was the first time we went after they took something off. Then they also had these things called rainbow dumplings. And they were dumplings filled with either beef, chicken, pork, whatever you wanted them to be, tofu, whatever you're into. We usually just got the beef ones because those taste the best. And we went there and we were like, hey, can we get an order of the rainbow dumplings? Like, we know that you took the skewers off the menu. And so when we ordered them, they were like, oh, yeah, sorry, but those aren't on our menu for right now because the person who makes them went back to China for like 2 months. And so again, me, Steve, and everybody are looking around the table and we're like, wait a second. So one person left and went to China on vacation for 2 months, and you guys don't have the ability to replicate making them? Like, you guys cannot make them on your own.
It was his family's recipe. It was his secret family's recipe.
It's a woman, and
it was her family's recipe.
And apparently, yes, it is something that only this one woman in the world knows how to do for their restaurant, which really, really triggered me because I was like, there's no fucking way that one person is responsible for making all the dumplings in this place, but that's actually how it works. And it's so bad to the point where even when she was there, they would sell out because she could only make so many in a day, I guess. So they took away the Wagyu skewers, they took away the rainbow dumplings, and then one of the last times we went was so fucking wild. Okay, so we went this one time, we were like, fuck it. They took off so much stuff, but the restaurant is still insane. For a hot pot restaurant, the quality of the food and everything is so good that we just kept going back because we're gluttons for punishment. We don't care. We went back one time and none of us can really use chopsticks. Like me, Vinny, Steve, we can't use chopsticks. We're not very good at it. Like I can kind of manage, but it just makes eating so much of a chore that I don't really enjoy eating with chopsticks. So I always ask for a fork. We always ask for a fork. And luckily, when you ask for a fork, it's not really a problem. They don't really shame you for it or anything like that. So we were like, hey, can we get forks for everyone? So the lady goes away. She comes back and she comes back with 2 forks. And there are 3 of us at the table. And we're like, okay. And she goes, so I was only able to find 2. All the other forks are being used right now. And so I just started laughing because in my head, I was like, so, and then before I even could say anything, Vinny was like, you know what? It's fine. I actually don't need a fork right now. Like, it's cool. You guys can just take the forks. And I kept thinking to myself, and I voiced this too. I was like, yo, if we all needed a fork, what were we supposed to like fight over it or some shit? Like, was it supposed to be Mortal Kombat? How's a restaurant, mind you, this is a very nice establishment. And how's a restaurant just going to tell you, we only have 2 forks left in the entire restaurant? Like, this is it. So you guys got to figure it the fuck out. At this point, we felt like we were being trolled. That's what it kind of felt like to us, is that they were just literally fucking with us. And every time we walked in the building, they'd be like, yo, it's those guys again. Let's take something else off the menu that they try to order. And let's just keep getting worse and worse to see if they like, when they'll snap. We literally thought we were on an episode of Punk'd or something, or like Snapped. The actual show Snapped. So it was bad. It was really, really bad. But yeah, that restaurant, Chubby Cattle, is amazing. So that's what it used to be. And what it is now, they've changed the entire way it works. So now you go in and it's, like I said, $40 a person, and it's all you can eat. Which usually, I don't like buffet style places in general. Like, they typically end up being shit. Just either the quality of the food or the service. Something is usually wrong when you go to a buffet style restaurant, at least back when I used to go to those types of restaurants. But this one, it's all the same stuff that you would order a la carte when it was that way, just in buffet style, which I like because we definitely order more than what we end up paying at the end. Like, I think we ended up paying, when me, Kenny, Cairo, Gary, Medina, Xavier, when we all went this past, was it Sunday? When we all went, we ended up paying $53 a person. So that's like after they included 20% gratuity in the bill. So we ended up paying $53. So it's basically $40 plus $13 for tax tip, which is honestly not bad. It was 6 of us. So you could work out the math on that, but they included 20% gratuity in there. And I thought that's still really cheap, and all things considered. We ordered a shit ton of food, okay? Like, so much food that we got nervous because they have this thing where if you do not finish...
First of all, we only includes half of the people sitting, but continue.
Yes, we ordered because there was an iPad at the table, and the way it works is you can just grab the iPad and start adding things to your cart and click send the kitchen, and the kitchen will bring out whatever you added. And every item on there basically says $0 except drinks. Like, if you wanted to drink a Coke or a ginger ale, you did have to pay for that, but everything else was just straight up free. And yeah,
free because we paid the all you can eat price.
Correct. So that being said, Kenny showed up like 10 minutes into us being there, which was fine because we knew he was going to be coming a little bit later. We got there like 7. Kenny got there like 7:10 or something. By the time he got there, we had already had our broth, because you need your broth to start. And they took a really long time. Like, for me, it was a kind of unreasonable amount of time to bring him his broth so he could actually start making his own food, like cooking his own food. So that was kind of problematic. And also, we had ordered a shit ton of food. The 3 or 4 of us that were there before he got there, we had already ordered so much food, but we had gone through it really quick, because that first round of meat and corn and potatoes and broccoli and shrimp and all that first round gets destroyed, because every time you go there, you're going to go with an appetite because it's a buffet. You're going to be really hungry. So that first round, we just demolished it. So by the time he got there wasn't really much on the table. And we decided to just start loading up the iPad with a bunch more meat. And they started bringing it out, but slowly, to the point where I thought that maybe the orders weren't going through. And this is where the problem
we ordered
started.
More?
Yes. So we put in an order for like 6 more Wagyu brisket plates, 6 more Wagyu chuck roll plates, 6 more beef, like skewer, whatever they had, just like all kinds of meats. We put in so many more orders of it because I was like, yo, there's no way this thing is working. Let's just put in more. Silly idea, but that's what we ended up doing. And that's what I ended up doing. And eventually,
Xavier did it too. X at one point blatantly on the sly, like, picked up the iPad and was like, I just put in, I think he said, I just ordered 2 more orders of every meat on the menu.
He did say that. He said, right, he did say that. I was stuffing my face, so I didn't really care, because I was like, yeah, more food. And also at the time, you and Medina still hadn't really gotten to eat much yet. Like, I think your broth had just come out, and so you guys are just starting to eat. And I know me, I'm very hungry when I go to Chubby Kettle, so I can eat a lot of food when I go there. And I was hoping that you two brought your appetites, because when they started bringing out the meat finally, They brought out so much of it that I got nervous because they have this thing where if you don't eat your food, they charge you $10 per pound for everything on the table that's not eaten. So we ended up ordering at the very beginning of the buffet. We ended up ordering 3 orders of shrimp fried rice, and we didn't know that it comes out in these gigantic bowls, but like you really only need 1 or 2, maybe 2. 1 is honestly enough because you also get white rice.
I ate a whole bowl of shrimp fried rice myself.
Yes, but you were one of the only people who was able to eat shrimp fried rice because everyone else got filled up on all the stuff that came out before that. Because the shrimp fried rice came out so late.
I fucking love fried rice, man.
It's so good. Dear God, it's so good. Do you prefer, when it comes to fried rice, do you prefer like the one that is brown or the one that's kind of like yellow? You know what I'm talking about? Like in the hood Chinese stores, you know how sometimes you get the fried rice and it's like yellow rice?
Now, somebody like, listen, I just want to preface this by saying I am no cook connoisseur.
Oh, me
I
either.
barely know. I don't know much about like the technical stuff of food, right? So by yellow rice, I've always called it Spanish rice. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, so honestly, yes, that is what I think of when I think of yellow rice. But I've gone to Chinese stores that have fried rice. Like their fried rice is the color yellow. It is blatantly the color yellow. And then the one that I grew up seeing the most though was actual brown fried rice. Like the rice is brown. Like
whenever I think of Chinese fried rice, I always think of the brown rice.
Right.
And then obviously you get like the regular white rice, and then yellow rice I always think of as Spanish rice. But anyway, I think just to like out of all the rices that you could have, my favorite would be like the Chinese style brown fried rice.
Yep, same for me.
That's my favorite.
And I like duck sauce on my rice. I'm really big on that. Like if you give me some duck sauce, now if it's good fried rice, I really don't need any additives. Like when we go to hibachi or whatever, at the hibachi, I'm fine with just the way they make the fried rice right in front of you. That shit is always fire to me. They ask you if you want an extra egg in it or whatever. But yeah, hibachi style fried rice is insane. You get to wash them literally from scratch, take nothing but white rice, some eggs, and I guess I always wonder what the liquid is, the brown liquid they poured. Is it teriyaki? Is it soy sauce?
It's good. It's just good. That's what it is. It's good sauce.
It is good sauce. I mean, it's so damn good. But yeah,
it's a whole drizzle of good.
It's amazing.
Look at them just drizzling good all over.
This is slowly becoming a food podcast episode, which wasn't really intentional, but it is what it is. So okay, back to what was going on. So they're bringing out all this food. And we start to get overloaded to the point where my eyes are getting big. Everyone's kind of looking around. Cairo's no longer eating because he's full, apparently. Like, he's fucking bitched out. And then the smallest person at the table was Gary. Okay. Gary started to pick up the slack and literally grab plates of beef, like actual, and just dump them into his hot pot. And he started just going in. So we were like, yo, Gary's pulling his weight out of nowhere. Like he just was eating so much. And then Xavier was like,
wasn't a surprise to me.
Right. Well, you knew, I did not. And then Xavier was like, well, don't worry. Like I'm still very much not satiated yet. So he started to also pull his weight literally and just started downing a lot of the food. But then they just kept bringing it out. So much so that it started to become like a meme. I was like, yo, they're trying to fuck us. They're trying to fuck us.
There's so much food coming out.
They kept overloading the table. Every time somebody would like literally take an entire slab of beef, like sliced beef, and put it into their hot pot, the ladies would come past again and just drop off more. And I was like, yo, excuse me, we didn't order this. And she was like, yes, you did. You ordered this 13 minutes ago. And I was like, no, the fuck we didn't. Take this back. We didn't order this. No one's eating this because we didn't order it. And she was like, but it says right here. I was like, I don't care what it says. We didn't order that. And she was like, well, I got to go check with the kitchen. You remember? She was like, I'm going to go check.
Yeah.
She never came back because she realized you guys aren't getting me. Like, I'm not paying $10 a pound for all this fucking meat that you guys put on the table. They started overloading the table like we had just gotten there and we were all basically full, except I think Kenny was still able to eat and like Gary was still going a little bit. And then Cairo even picked up at a point. Cairo was like, fuck it. Did he?
Listen, we sat down. Yeah. So we're sitting there, we're eating. And then as time goes, I laughed so fucking hard at this though, because there was a lot of food. So, who knows if we can eat it all, right?
Yeah.
But so we're eating it. And then Fraser explains the leftover tax to me, right? He explains the leftover tax. And for anybody who's listening and is like, oh, that's really corny, I'll explain it from my perspective, because one of my friends were like, that's so corny. But I was like, no, you got to understand. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. So in order to avoid people ordering 50 of everything, they have to essentially they have to incentivize you not to, because a lot of times you'll see an all-you-can-eat buffet, people overload, and then when they leave, there's just tons of food left on the table.
Which is really an awful American thing to do anyway. Like, you don't want to waste a ton of food. That's just not okay.
Yeah. So I understand the leftover tax, right? So anyway, Fraser explains it. And then time goes on, and like Cairo's like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I don't think we can finish all
Cairo
this. He's done eating, and he's
doom and gloom. Yeah,
like, he's dooming and glooming. And then
it's working
Fraser
for
at
me.
one point, and I laughed so fucking hard. He was like, guys, it's fine. Worst comes to worst, we chuck all that shit in the hot pot. We chuck all that shit in the broth. He's like, you put all that shit in the broth. If we get you just you chuck that shit. And I was crying.
I literally was like, yes, if worst come to worst, I will grab all the meat on this fucking table and I will throw it in a hot pot. We are not paying an overage thing. Like I'm not doing
that in the broth.
And at one point, I started doing it. I literally told Cairo, I was like, "You're not using your pot anymore," because he was done eating, even though he fucking ate like not a lot at all, in my opinion. He was like, "Oh, I'm done." He started looking around like I don't know what's gonna happen to all this meat. And I told him, I said, "Dump all of that into your fucking hot pot right now." And he was like, "You want me to put?" I was like, "Yeah. Start off with half, let that cook down, and then put the rest in." And he was just like, "Okay." And I looked over and I was like, "Xavier, can you handle more of your hot pot?" And he was like, "Yeah, just throw it in." So I just started throwing meat into random hot pots around the table.
I was like, Fraser, relax. I'm not done eating. I just got here.
Kenny kept saying, "We're good." Like I haven't even really got. He said, "I like to take my time with my food, dog. Like let me work."
Like, relax, man. I just sat down, and then I was like, I was trying to explain for those of you who don't know Medina. I was like, I got Medina sitting right next to me. He can eat his ass off. He's not a small fella. No. He's not the biggest fella, but he's not a small fella. And then we have Xavier, who can also eat.
Yes, he's the one who basically put us on a lot of this shit.
And then
young Gary,
the low key MVP, I was like, you got Gary right there. I don't know if you guys know this, but Gary can eat more than all of these people.
Yeah, Gary
can fucking make food disappear. We were in New York one time at Ant's house. Ant's been on the podcast before. We were in New York at Ant's house one time, and at one point, Ant was like, "Gary, stop eating my you're eating." Like he ate a whole box of Hot Pockets himself. Like a whole box of Hot Pockets, 2 boxes of Pop-Tarts, a whole thing of cereal.
Oh, he will just eat out of house and home.
He was just fucking tearing food apart.
Mind you, to give you some context, Gary weighs about 120 pounds with 2 bricks in his pocket and soaking wet. Okay. Yes. So just so you know, this is a little guy. This is a very small human being. And he was eating to me.
Fraser's like, fucking, get rid of the food.
Yes.
He's dumping.
I was freaking out.
Like dumping food.
In the moment, I was actually frantic. Like not even, I know we're laughing about it now, but in the actual moment, I was afraid. Okay. And I was moving like someone who was frantic and afraid. And the way I was arguing with the server lady, I was just like, "We didn't order that." And she was like, "Yes, you did. You ordered this 13 minutes ago." I was like, "No, we didn't." I just stared her directly in her eyes and lied. I lied to that lady's face. I said, "No, we didn't." She's like,
"I was like, Fraser, we're
right
fine." He was like, "I can't fucking handle you. You're not real."
Yeah, I was sweating and shit, bro. I was sweating. My forehead was covered in sweat. I was like dumping. I was like, "Yo, hide the evidence." You were like, "Bro, it's fine. You're knocking the table over, trying to push it under the table and all types of."
I was at the end of it, I was like picking food out of. I was like, "All right."
You were like, "Is there any more?"
And Cairo, like, "Is there anything left in your fucking bowl?" I got the meat. It was all shriveled because it was hiding for 10 minutes.
I'm so sorry. I was very
nervous.
Like,
what is happening? No, it was awesome time. The food was good. It was a cool experience. And even, here's the other thing. Here's another reason why I kind of ate slowly. And it's not even that I was necessarily eating slow. I didn't fully know. I've never been to a place like that before.
Okay.
So I was like, kind of get a handle on what I was doing. I was sitting there for like 20 minutes before I even got a fork.
You literally were sitting there with no broth, watching us eat for 20 minutes. I felt bad. So what I was doing, I was like giving Kenny meat out of my hot pot because everyone had their own individual hot pot. And I would like, I mean, we had so much food and it's also infinite, right? So it doesn't matter. But I would like cook it and just put it on his plate, like, "Yo, eat this. Because that shit tastes so good. Like, honestly,
it does.
When you're hungry,
was really good.
Oh, it's so good.
It was really, it fucked up my diet for, set me back a whole week. But
same.
It was good. No, like the food was good. But like Fraser said, and I don't know if maybe it was just a bad day for them or whatever, or they were backed up, but everything was coming out really slow. Like my broth took, I feel like, a long time to get there. And then
for literally broth, I can't imagine why.
And then we asked for forks, and then because I can't use fucking chopsticks. Like Medina can use chopsticks. I didn't even know this. I knew he could use chopsticks. He can use them in his right and left hand. He said he was like, I can use chopsticks in either hand. And I was like, you have too much time in your hand sometimes.
Yeah, because I can't use a fork with my left hand. Like, what the fuck?
I pretty much can't use a fork on my left. Like I can do it. I can stab thing and put thing in mouth.
Yes.
But
if you mean like a Neanderthal, then yes, I can fucking stab things with a fork and then put it towards my mouth. But if you mean eat like a real civilized human
person,
being,
I'm with you. I can't. I wouldn't be able to use a fork like I could in my right hand and my left hand. So anyway, I feel like I waited like 10, 20 minutes for my fork. And so I think at one point, because Cairo's sitting there afraid, and they're like, they've been here for a while, and they're like, there's all this food still here. And I don't know if it dawned on them that like, I didn't even get to eat yet.
Yes, it did not. I kept on thinking that you were getting full. I don't know why I had it in my head that you had your fill and you were just going to allow all of that food to go to waste. I was
eating. I was eating up until we left, pretty much.
You were. Literally, I had to say, like, all right, guys, like, I noticed the lady looked at us a couple of times after, because we had paid the bill, and I looked at the bill, and it went food, fees, tax, total. So I looked at it, and I said, hey, excuse me, what is this fees thing? Because it said $44 in fees. And the total for the six of us was $315, if I'm not mistaken. So when I looked at the $44 in fees, I was like, is that the overage? I was like, did they actually get us for the overage? So I was like, hey, excuse me, what's the fees right here? She was like, oh, that's just the gratuity.
Because I was going to say, if they gave us the check and they tried to do the overage, I would have been like, hey, I'm still eating, bro. Like, you can relax on the overage.
But I would have been like, how did you calculate the $10 per pound? Like, did you look at the table and say, this looks about 4 pounds, so $40? Like, how did you come up with $44? Because I would love to see the math. I'm a math guy, I do math for a living. I would just love to see the math that you arrived to get to that point. So yeah, I asked her, she said, oh, that's just the gratuity that's already built into it, so it's 20%, which is fine. That's completely fine. That's completely fine. So it ended up being no overage. The doom and gloom went away, and we were so goddamn happy. And then we talked about getting dessert and stuff. But yeah, in that moment, it's funny now, but while I was there, I was so nervous that we were going to get charged like $100 in excess.
Yeah, we were good. I knew we were good because I knew we had Medina, X, and Gary.
Yeah,
and then I was like, we're good. And also, I was it was cool though.
I started thinking I was going to throw up because I would have to force myself to eat some more food. That's what I started.
I'd love to go there again. Not anytime soon. Yeah, because I'm trying to lose weight. But
okay, so let's talk about that for a quick second. You said not anytime soon, and I agree with that. I can only go to Chubby Cattle once every like other month. I go with Silverman and Vinny and like that whole group every once in a while. And it's
called Chubby Cattle. They know what they're doing.
It is called Chubby Cattle. And every time we go, there's always the joke of like, you are the Chubby Cattle. But
oh no,
we love the restaurant. It's a very good place. Like you said, every once in a while, it's amazing to do that. Cause it's also, you're going to overeat, right? Like there's no way you're going to remain in a calorie deficit the day you go there. It's just so much, unless you stay with just meat. Cause then that's just like keto / Atkins or whatever, like you're just eating protein. If you don't touch the rice, the noodles, but like realistically, if you go, I eat the corn, I eat the rice, the udon. I got udon noodles. I think X got like the vermicelli knots or whatever they're called.
I don't know what that is. I ate a good amount of broccoli. I fucking love broccoli.
I love broccoli too, especially the broccoli when it sits in the pot for a while and it soaks up all of that seasoning and it just became so soft. So good. Also the potatoes. I'm a big fan. When I was growing up, one of the things my grandmother used to make a lot was stewed chicken. And she would put rice, potatoes, and chicken and let the chicken literally fall off the bone. And so you just get like this really tender, brothy meal that is kind of like a soup almost, but the chicken is still, I don't know, it's just a very, very good meal from my childhood. So it always reminds me when I would go to Hot Pot and I put the potatoes in and then I have a bowl of rice and then I start to like, take the ladle and pour the soup all over my rice and everything and then pour some potato and meat. It's such a good combination. But yeah, I definitely overate. So much so that the next day, I only ate one thing the next day. And I think it was a protein bar.
I laughed at that so fucking hard. Because I said while I was there, I was like, dude, this undid all the work I did in the last week. And then Fraser said, oh, I'm not eating tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I said that as we were getting up.
I was like, what?
Yeah, just casually. People don't believe me, but I tell them all the time, instead of getting actually fat or like gaining weight to the point where I feel like I won't fit my clothes, because my only incentive is really just that I won't fit my clothes anymore. Before I will allow that to happen, I will just stop eating. And I'm not kidding about that. Like, I know that it's unhealthy. I know you're probably like, oh shit, that's not okay. Like, what's wrong with you? I will literally just not eat. I am not fucking around. If you've ever seen me in person, I'm a pretty skinny guy, and I intend to remain that way for the rest of my days because I have a lot of nice ass clothing that requires me to be within a certain range of a certain size, and I can't afford to have all of that clothing go to waste. I always think to myself, when people get really big, right? What do they do with their wardrobe? Now, most people don't have a wardrobe as big as mine, so I get it. It's not a big deal to just go wearing sweatpants for the rest of your life. but I can't do that. I just have way too much. I'm really big into designer clothes. I love Balenciaga. I love Saint Laurent. I love Gallery Department, Prada. And all of these things run kind of small, or at least they run perfectly fit to the body that I had when I bought them. So if I gain too much weight and I can't fit those nice clothes anymore, that will actually make me depressed. So I'm always avoiding gaining too much weight. It's like one of my biggest things in life. Is just I'm a yo-yo dieter. I go on periods where you'll see me post Green Eggs Cafe, the craziest French toast stacked with Fruity Pebbles, Chantilly cream, like whipped cream all over it, strawberries, and all kinds of just sugar, confectionery, just like crazy nonsense, right? I'll post that stuff and you'll be like, damn, like, how are you eating that and still remaining really small? But it's because after I eat that, I'll just be like, all right, well, tomorrow we're just not really going to eat. Like, we're just going to eat the bare minimum. We're going to have a protein bar. We're going to have some tea, drink some water.
Oh my God.
And that's how that's how I do. But you've been apparently dieting, which I'm always a big fan of. I love people going for a nice body.
For me, it's like, it's not even like a full-on diet at the moment. Like, I don't know, I might try to do a specific plan, but really what it is, we just go shopping and like, we didn't order out that much anyway,
right?
Since we got into the apartment. We just like cook most nights.
Yeah, so I'm jealous that you guys actually do home cook, because I don't really get home cooked meals. One, I don't really cook myself, so
yeah.
But yeah, you always.
That's the thing. I mean, I don't really like. I help, but she does most of the work. I'm just kind of like, I get the consolation prize.
Yeah.
But so we cook every night, and even still, we were ordering out every now and then. Like every other Friday, we would get pizza, or like, and then like the other Friday we would get cheesesteak. But basically, we just decided like we are just not going to order out anymore. Like we're not eating pizza or cheesesteak and like we're just not going to eat fried food. Which we weren't eating a lot of anyway. So we were just like, we're just going to cut it out and then just eat the groceries that we buy, and
that's really
kind of go from there. So I'm doing that, and then I finally started going to the gym again. So
is there a Planet Fitness close to you? Because I know we both go to Planet Fitness.
Yeah. It's a so this is basically how I started going to the gym. One day I got a ride home from a coworker, right? A coworker happened to like basically just give me a ride home. I don't usually ask for rides home, I just take Uber. But on that day, if I remember correctly, I thought I had more money in my bank account than I did. And I had like bought something, like pre-ordered something like a year beforehand. And I had just assumed they took the money out already, but they don't. They don't take the money out until the thing actually comes out. So so I looked at my account one day. I was like, "Oh, I'm fine." The thing came out and got delivered to my house, and then they took the money out that I thought they took a year ago, but they didn't.
That's actually wild.
So my account out of nowhere went down like 500. I was like, "Holy!"
Did you double check to make sure that they didn't?
Yeah,
take
I did.
It out
I like
twice?
went through all of my I went through everything, and like I did not get charged twice.
Okay, just making sure, because
Yeah, so I didn't get charged twice. But anyway, I didn't have enough money in my account to Uber, basically. And so I asked this coworker for a ride home. They give me a ride home, and then they go up through this way, and they're telling me a story about how like this parking lot used to be an old teen like dance club, like when he was younger. It was like a teen dance club, and it was a Planet Fitness now. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then he like pulls out of the parking lot, and then he drives, and like he just drives straight down the road, and then I'm at my house. And I was like, oh shit. And then so I realized, and then like I looked up the whatever. So that Planet Fitness, long story short, is a 25-minute walk from my house.
That is literally how far the one is that I go to from my apartment.
Yeah. So I was like, that's a pretty good workout size excuse to go. Like I can walk to the gym. That's a 25-minute walk to the gym, do my workout, and then walk home. Like that's a really good like workout for the day. Like the extra 50-minute walk on top of whatever you do at the gym. And then so anyway,
that's exactly what I do. You literally like to the T, 25-minute walk after the gym, which is so good, because that is a good amount of cardio. Also, just kind of like for me, walking allows me to think a lot. That's how I do a lot of the planning for like podcast stuff, for YouTube content. I have so much time in my head, and that walk is just so good, especially after a workout where your body is kind of like trying to relax. You've just destroyed all your muscles, and now everything
helps you decompress. Like it's really good.
It's a really good therapeutic thing to do.
So it was nice because like and Planet Fitness is. I know people make fun of the gym, but whatever. It's just a gym. I get it. I don't even think they do this anymore. But I know at one point they had like Pizza Fridays where they like gave out free pizza or some crazy shit.
Yeah, I think it's once a month. I think they do still do shit like that, because one time I went in the one that I go to, and there were pretzels everywhere from the Philadelphia pretzel factory. And I was,
yeah, like that's a rant. That's definitely a rant.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be having pretzels and pizza at the gym, but whatever. I don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, it's a gym with all really good equipment.
Yeah.
And it's open 24 hours. So I can go after work at like midnight, 2 a.m. I can go like get a workout in whenever. So it's pretty cool. So that's I started going I don't remember 2 weeks ago now, maybe
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I think. And yeah, so
I'm a big fan of you going to the gym. I have also been going to the gym, but I also have an accountability partner now. Our friend Jalen, who's in our group chat and everything. So Jalen is really fit. He runs track, at least when he was in college, he did. And he still keeps up with the exercises and stuff, as though he graduated last year, but he still keeps up with all of his track stuff. So he runs a lot. Pretty much every day he goes on a run. And I get the notifications on my Apple Watch because we actually share fitness stuff with each other. So one of the coolest things about, I guess this is like every fitness thing, like Fitbits do it too, and Apple Watches do it, but you can add people to a shared thing and you can see whenever they complete a workout, it'll give you a notification. To me, it's just motivation, right? It's just saying like, hey, Jalen just completed a workout, and it'll show you what he did. It'll show you how
you're like, now I have to go do it. I can't be a bitch.
We made each other accountability partners. And so now our thing is every day at some point we got to do 30 minutes of working out, right? And then the goal is to at least have your watch on when you do it, so that way it's tracked, so that's not like I don't have to take your word for it. So that's kind of what we have been doing for it's been about 3 weeks to a month almost, but we've been doing this like accountability partner thing, and I really do like it. Like just working out, I have a lot of equipment in my apartment, so even if I don't go to the gym, I'll get on my indoor bike for a half hour, or I got 20-pound dumbbells, and I have like a whole weight bench and an ab bench and all types of other shit. But I'll just work out on that stuff while being downstairs watching TV at the same time, and I'll get my exercise in. And so that's been really helping me, and I've noticed my body looks different. Like it blatantly looks like I work out right now, which is really what I was going for anyway, because I used to
trying to get there. I don't know how long it's going to take. Trying to get there.
Yes. I used to be obsessed with the number, like the actual weight I used to be obsessed with. And then I had to realize if you're doing a lot of weight training, right, your body will start to look nicer, but the weight won't necessarily go down.
Yeah, because you're still building muscle mass.
Yes. And so I had to realize, stop worrying so much about the number on the scale and just look at what your body is actually telling you physically. Like look at what you're seeing and not necessarily like, oh, I'm 150 pounds, I want to be 140. It was like, well, 140 is just literally an arbitrary number, right? Like 140 looks different to every human being who's 140. So I would just be like, oh, I want to get down to 140. But like at the end of the day, if you look good at 150 with the muscle, then just be at 150 and be happy with that.
That's the thing. I don't care about the weight itself. Like I don't care what the scale says, but I do want the little belly. Like I don't have a big belly, but I have a belly.
Yeah. You're older too, so you know it.
And
those things
I want that shit going. And I saw a friend, I won't say their name, but a friend of mine was on webcam the other day, and I was like, bro, you look not good.
Oh shit. I thought this was gonna go the other way.
I was like, bro, you look not good.
I thought you were about to say they look amazing.
No, I was like, I didn't realize like how bad they looked. Whew.
So is this someone that I know too?
Shit. Yeah, you know them.
And they got bigger?
They're big.
Okay.
They're big.
I think I know who you're talking about already, because it's like one person who they kind of just show themselves. I don't know how else to say. I don't know how else to say this, but they kind of just show their body on webcam. Not in a weird way, but just in a, because he is a weird person, so he just kind of does that.
Here's the other thing too. Here's something I think is important for people to know. This is a fucking rant right now. I don't know. We're on topics, but there is a difference. Like Fraser said, like the number doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
So our friend Anthony, he's a big guy. Like he's fat for all intents and purposes, but he's been going to the gym and he's been dieting a lot better and he's been losing a lot of weight. I think he said he lost 20 pounds in the last month or two,
which is really a lot.
So but that said, he's always been bigger than us.
Yes.
But he like when you look at him, he doesn't look unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like you look at him and you can tell he's fat, but he's not. His body's put together. And that's because even though he was fat or overate or didn't eat healthy foods, he bikes like every fucking day.
Yes.
Like he bikes through New York. So even though he has like a belly, his body looks put together. Whereas
Anthony's body, Anthony looks like a bouncer. Okay, for a good description of what he. I mean, if you've watched the episodes that are on Patreon, the video versions that he's on, like all the Kingdom Hearts episodes he's on the God of War episode, stuff like that. But he is. I mean, granted, you're only probably seeing like his head in those episodes, but if you see him in person, he looks like somebody who will be standing outside of a club, and they will be telling you to back the fuck up, or you're going to get, bounced. Like, he looks like that guy. He's big. And it's not like big as in fat. It's big as in this guy has a lot of muscle. And also he is obviously just bigger in general, but it looks like it's more muscle than it is fat, blatantly.
And so I think he said, I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but I think he said he's down to 230 or 240. I don't know exactly. And then our other friend is like 10 pounds lighter than him. Or no, I think like 7 pounds lighter than him. And so Ant is going to pass him. Like, Ant's going to be a lower weight than this other friend for the first time since they've known each other. But with all of that said, our other friend, the point that I was getting to, he doesn't carry the weight well. Like, when you look at him, whereas when you looked at Ant, you were like, oh, he's fat, but his body looks put together.
Right.
Our other friend just looks like a mess. Like, his body does not look put together.
Before you guys start thinking that we're horrible friends or that we're like bullying our friend, this person literally doesn't give a fuck. Like,
no, he doesn't. Like, he gets on. The reason why I know this is because he literally turned his webcam on the other day, wearing nothing but his boxers, and stood up and started shaking his belly.
Yes.
Like, just
and
started
saying, look at how fucking fat I am.
Just started violently shaking his belly on webcam.
That's the kind of person that he actually is. He's always been just an unhinged person who doesn't really care about
but he used
a lot
to be
of the
very skinny.
He did. But he doesn't care about a lot of the conventional things, especially conventional beauty standards, right? Like being skinny and model-esque and all that. That never really appealed to him. So before he was skinny because, young, genes and all that, just being young. But now we all gotten older, and if you do not do stuff and you continue to eat, you will gain weight. I gained the most weight I've ever gained in my entire life in 2020 during the pandemic.
I weigh the most I ever weigh right now.
Right now, it's like today is the most you've ever weighed, basically, you're saying. Like this.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've lost. Yeah, I don't know if I've lost weight since the first time I went to the gym.
Gotcha. But what you're saying is that
I weighed 182, and that's the most I ever weighed.
Yes. So the biggest I've ever been in my entire life was 164. That is the most weight I've ever had, and that was in 2020. And I'll never forget. I did a before and after. I still have the before and after on my actual phone. Maybe I'll post it on Patreon if you guys want me to post that before and after picture, because you can very clearly see it in my face, because it's not a body picture, it's just a facial picture. The body was gross though. Like my body looked gross to me without a shirt on. I just did not like. I was muffin topping over my underwear, which is just not. That's just not how I want to look. And my face in particular was very chunky, and no one told me. Now, I naturally have chubby cheeks. Like, my face, since I was a baby, my family would always tug at my actual cheeks on my face. Like, they would just always do that and be like, oh, look at how chubby your cheeks are. So I've always had that kind of Kanye thing going on where I have extra fat in my face. But like, when I gain weight, my face gets so puffy and so chunky looking. And I remember in 2020, my best friend's mom, shout out to Miss Alice, she literally said to me, oh, Fraser, you look so good with the happy weight. And that shit broke me.
Oh no.
It fucking broke me. I went over there for like a Thanksgiving or something that year, like a very intimate Thanksgiving because it was the pandemic. And I remember her saying that to me, and I had to pretend like it was a compliment because that's how she intended it.
God.
But in my head, dog, that shit made me so self-conscious that I kept thinking about it the entire night. And when I got home the next day, I took off all my clothes and looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, yeah, it's time to fix this shit. I literally, because of the help of my one friend Will, because he was on the keto diet, I started doing the keto diet. I started eating eggs, chicken, meatballs that I would make myself with no breadcrumbs in them, just like actual ground beef, meatloaf mix, stuff like that, green peppers, onions, whatever you put in your meatballs, cheese, but literally no carbs in my stuff. And I would eat vegetables and meat every day. And that would be all I ate every day. No, I would go very low carb. So I would allow myself to have some carbs, obviously, because you do need some. But I would go, let's say, no more than 20 carbs a day. So I was on a very low carb diet, basically just doing the keto diet. And I actually love breakfast food, like particularly breakfast meats. So I would eat sausages, bacon, eggs. That would be my lunch, because I don't really eat breakfast. I don't eat until 12 p.m. every day. So on top of me doing that diet, I was also intermittent fasting unintentionally. Like, I didn't know that what I was doing every day was intermittent fasting, because I eat my first meal basically every day is at 12 p.m. And then my last meal is around 8 or 9 p.m. And that's just how I naturally have been living my life for the longest time without knowing that there was like a term for it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was intermittent fasting. And on top of that, I had switched to this low carb diet. And in about a month, I had lost 12 pounds, maybe like a month and a week. But in that amount of time, I lost 12 pounds. And the before and after picture is taken, right after I lost those 12 pounds. You can see just how much sharper, specifically my chin area got. Like it just looked way more chiseled. Like it was just a triangle. Like my chin went from being very circular to just being a straight up, like it's just like a diamond. Like it just cut into an actual diamond. And
yeah.
People weren't really telling me that I gained weight. Like not my friends. My friend's mom said it, but all of the other people, no one said like, yo, you looking kind of chunky or something. Or like what's going on with your weight? Like no one said anything. Everybody just kind of lied to me basically.
It's hard to notice. You don't notice shit. I don't notice shit like that until I don't notice shit like that, especially if I see somebody often. Now that said, you said it was over COVID, so I didn't see anybody, right? Nobody really saw anyone. Right. But it's like, it's just hard to notice stuff like that because you're not looking. I don't know, like when we hang out, I'm not like looking at your face.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
but it would also have to be a drastic change anyway for you to really notice it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It would have to be something that's kind of, to me, when I look at the before and after, it looks pretty fucking drastic. But again, if you're not used to seeing me, because this is before we started the podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is like before the podcast ever started. Oh, speaking of which, we just passed our 2-year anniversary. July 15th, 2023 was our actual 2-year anniversary. So we are officially 2 years into this thing, and this is like episode 157, I think. So shout out to everybody who's listening to this episode because you guys made it possible for us to continue to do episodes in general. But yeah, I think that this is like this is 157 that we're recording right now. But
dude, go ahead. I was going to say on the note of like, I remember before, like this is a while ago. I don't remember what episode it was, but you said that you think you have some form of like body dysmorphia.
I do. I do genuinely think that, like self-diagnosed, of course, because no one actually.
So not the other day, because it's been like, it was probably like last year or something. I don't remember when, but I kind of realized, I think once again, like not actually medically, but I think I kind of at one point had that too. Yeah, because when I was breakdancing, right? When I would breakdance every single day, like literally I started when I was, I think 15, and after school, so like 3:15 or whatever, I would go to this other school that had this really big gym, and I would practice from like, let's just say from 4 to like 8 o'clock at night. And I did that every day, basically a 4-hour fucking workout.
I was going to say, that is a shit ton. And dancers have the nicest bodies too. When I met Kenny, in 2010, before I won a YCS. And when I met him, I remember his body was just insane. Like he just had a very, very nice body. And it was because he had still been like in the dance world or had just exited or whatever. It was around that time.
I was still dancing like every day. So, but here's what I'm saying, which is at that time, I always knew I had really nice shoulders and like arms. But in my head, I never had a six pack. I was like, oh, like all the work I did, like I never had a six pack. My stomach still was like kind of fat, which is crazy. And then I saw a picture of myself from when I was like 19, and I blatantly had like a six pack and like the shit down the side. Like I had like my whole body area was like muscled out, and I don't even remember ever looking like that. Like I don't remember ever looking like I don't remember my like body ever looking that nice, even though it blatantly was, and I had my shirt off all the time because I was dancing. But like in my head, it never looked that way. Like I had nice shoulders, but like I was still fat, and I was like,
So that's what
like
you say.
I don't remember ever having a six pack, but then I saw pictures of myself, and I was like, I blatantly have a six pack there.
I remember seeing a picture of you, and I was like, damn, you were hot, for lack of a better word. Like you were hot. And yeah, it was around a time when you were dancing. So I get what you mean with the body dysmorphia thing, though. I think that I definitely suffer from it a bit, even if it's not an extreme case. Like I've never wanted to make myself throw up, or trigger warning, but like for people who suffer from actual eating disorders, I've never been bulimic or anorexic or anything like that. I've never suffered from an actual eating disorder, at least not like severely. Like I know I say like I'll stop eating, but I haven't had to really do that. Like I haven't had to really literally stop eating because I just kind of control my eating like I naturally do things to change my diet, because my problem is, the reality is I like sweets. If you know me, You
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah.
that I enjoy desserts more than anything on this planet, okay? Like cheesecakes, cookies, especially when they're warm, brownies, ice cream, pudding,
All right,
bread.
relax. You're gonna send somebody in the fucking withdrawal.
Banana bread is like one of the best things I've ever had in my life. Bread in general, when they bring it out at a restaurant, bread with butter, like
Dude, that restaurant bread is something else.
Oh, it's nuts.
That restaurant bread is something else. That warm fucking restaurant bread with the butter.
Good. You know, Cheesecake Factory, they have that brown bread. That shit is crack to me. Okay. You can apparently buy that too. Like it's called the brown bread. It's literally what it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, bread, I like everything that has any kind of sweetness to it. In fact, even when it comes to drinking alcohol, which I only do on occasion when I'm with my friends or something, but when I have alcohol, I always tell them I want a cocktail that's sweet. Like, do not bring me some shit that's like, I don't want something hard.
On that note, I think that's one of the luckiest things about me, because the last couple of years, like I haven't really been healthy. But and like I said, even though I have a belly, I don't think like I think if you look at me, I look, let's say, average, right? Like I look like average.
You
like,
don't
I'm not
look fat to me. So I saw you literally 2 days ago at Chubby Cattle, and you didn't look like the Chubby Cattle. So
yeah. And I just have like a little bit, even that, but there's a little belly there.
You also
the
wear
point that I'm
oversized
getting
clothing,
to,
so it's really hard to notice, even if you were to gain. Like you don't wear tight shit. So
true. The point I was getting to was, one of the luckiest things for me is that somehow I just don't I don't drink soda and I don't drink alcohol. So like my body doesn't have to do extra work to process like alcohol and soda and all those like really bad drinks that like, because I just drink water.
Yeah, and we don't even have in my apartment. We do not have soda, juice, or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think that's like it's like a lucky thing because it wasn't like a decision like I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to just drink water. It's just like that's just what I would drink.
Yeah. Now I know when we were growing up though, or not when we were growing up because I met you when you were like 19. But when I met you, you were big on Wawa's iced teas and like those big ass jugs.
Yeah, but they raised the price. I'm cheap. This is why I only drink water.
So that's
I literally don't drink the Wawa iced teas anymore because they raised the price of them.
I didn't know that.
Because they used to be $2 for a half gallon, right? And then sometimes they had a deal where you could get 2 of them. Or no, I think they had a deal where you could get 3 of them for $5. Right. So $1 off. And they would do that for like 6 months out of the year. And when that would happen, I would go in and I'd fucking pick up 3 of them and like all the time. Because I was like, it's $1 off. I'm gonna drink them at some point.
Yes.
Smart man. And then, but now I think they're like $2.30 for one, and I was just like, well, that's just too damn expensive. I'm not so because like in my head they're $2.
Yeah,
them being 30 cents more. I was like, oh well, I just won't buy them anymore.
So when we were younger, in our early 20s, Kenny would religiously get Wawa iced teas, like, and I'm talking about big ass jugs of it. When we would walk to Wawa at like 2 a.m. shit like that, because that place was always open. And it was one of our favorite times of the summer, just doing that. Doing that walk in the middle of the night was so cool. He lived in a very safe neighborhood, so we never felt like, scared or anything about doing that. But we would always get a bunch of junk food, and then one of the main things would be him getting those jugs of iced tea. And I would think to myself, I don't see this man drink water. Like that was a thought that I had in my early 20s, is that this man does not drink water. It's always like something flavored no matter what. And I remember we had a conversation about kidney stones and how that's one of the worst things that could happen to you, where you have to pass.
I'm sure I remember at that time in my life, I was like, I'm going to get a kidney stone one day. Like I've accepted it. Like one day I'm going to have a kidney stone, and that's just life. Yeah. Because at that time I literally drank that iced tea all the fucking time.
As though it was his water. Like that was water for him.
But I'm so like, money is like such a thing to me, and like I'm so cheap, and like I'm not greedy with it. Like I have no problem spending money on other people if I have it and whatever. But there's like, especially when I'm spending money on myself, or I'm like, I get so annoyed at. So anyway, the Wawa iced tea going up 30 cents or whatever it was. And by the way, initially it went up like 15. It was like $2.15 or $2.10, and I was like, well, I'm not buying those anymore. Like it's like, because to me it was like they're $2 and I'm not spending a cent.
The crazy thing is, so for people who don't know this, also in Philadelphia we had something implemented a couple years ago. I want to say it was 2016 was when it happened, because I remember a very life-changing event happened for me at that time. But in 2016 there was something called a sugar tax that they added.
Yeah.
And basically it was a tax on the poor, because the poor are known to be the people who consume the most sugar. So sugary drinks in general got this absurd tax added to them. So if you like Pepsi, colas, ginger ales, honestly, anything that is considered a sugary beverage you had to pay extra to buy it in the city of Philadelphia. And which meant that the drinks that Kenny likes, if he lives in Philly at any point, he has to pay extra to get them in Philly. Now, luckily, you lived on the outskirts, so I don't think that it applied to you the same way. But people in the city had to pay so much money just to get the same Pepsi they were buying a day before, and there was a lot of outrage about it when it happened. But that had been a big deterrent for me already. I'd already been drinking water at that time, but that for me, when that happened, I was like, okay, so I'm just never buying cases of Pepsi and cases of like, Sprite or whatever people like. Like I just never, after that happened and they put that sugar tax on it, I said, that is a deterrent for me. I will not be giving the city extra money because they said it was supposed to fund schools, which even at my younger age, I knew that was bullshit. That schools in Philadelphia were not about to be funded by this sugar tax. Like that shit is just not real, unfortunately. Somebody is stealing that money, like every other cent that goes into this country.
Yeah, it's absurd.
So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And I remember the one drink that I held on to the longest was Arizona iced teas. Those were $1 forever. Okay.
You know why, right? It's like the guy who made it. I don't know the whole story. And from what I understand, the guy, like the owner of the company or whatever it is, basically was like they're 99 cents and that's what they are.
Yeah.
Like Arizona iced teas are 99 cents. And apparently if you go to a store and because it says 99 cent on the can itself.
That's cool.
And if you go to a store to buy Arizona iced tea and it's priced at like $1.20 or something, you can apparently contact the company and like they won't sell the iced tea to that store anymore or something like that. Like he is like adamant that they are 99.
That's like some Kazuki Takahashi shit where he didn't want the cash prizes or whatever for Yu-Gi-Oh! And look at us today. We still don't have actual cash prizes because the guy who basically made the game was like, yeah, I don't want this to be a thing. But that's really cool. I like the fact that they were always really cheap. And when they put that sugar tax on, because that applies to that too. So it's not that the can of Arizona iced tea costs more than $1. It's that when you go to bring it up, the can will ring up as $1. But then the tax for the city and then the tax for the sugar thing, once you get to that, it's like, oh, it's $1.75, which is just ruinous. So yeah, I stopped drinking in general. Basically anything that's considered a sugary drink. And even when I go out of town or whatever, and like that doesn't apply, I'm just still not big on drinking juice and sodas. It breaks my skin out, and I'm really big on having my skin be really nice. So I learned what works for my skin, and drinking a lot of water. And that's probably true for everyone, but drinking a lot of water definitely has improved.
It is true for everyone.
It has improved my overall. And when you look at me, I look younger than I actually am because I do think part of it is like I just drink so much water, and your skin and water, the elasticity in your skin, everything, like it all goes hand in hand. So yeah, it kind of
it's pretty much all I drink too. For me, it was never for any like health or anything reason. It was almost always a monetary reason why I primarily drink water. Starting like I don't know however many years ago it started, but it's been at least 5 years since I almost exclusively drink water. But now that I'm getting back in the fitness, it's like I'm finding more reasons to just like, all right, well, even when I would occasionally have like this other drink, I just won't do that anymore either. I'll just keep drinking water.
I'll also say this though. To me, water just tastes insane when you're thirsty. Like insanely good. Nothing quite tastes like water to me. When I'm actually thirsty, when my thirst needs to be quenched, when you drink water during those times, it literally comes across as the absolute best drink on the planet. Like nothing compares.
I agree.
So
for me, I only like flavored drinks anyway. If I'm having a meal,
I agree with
like
that.
if I'm eating dinner and then it's like for example, I don't like Coca-Cola, right? But if I go to someone's house and they order 2 boxes of pizza and a 2 liter of Coke. Like, okay, that makes sense. Like, I'll drink a glass of Coke with a slice of pizza, and it's like it makes sense. Yeah. But anyway, I don't really do that anymore.
Those things taste amazing together, especially pizza. And for me, Pepsi is the one because I'm a Pepsi guy. I grew up with Pepsi in my household. But pizza and Pepsi goes together so fucking well. I just remember being a kid, pizza parties and stuff like that, when you could just drink and eat whatever you wanted and nothing would really happen to you. That combination is absurd. But even now, like you said, if somebody orders pizza or whatever, I'll eat the pizza, which is so backwards because I'll eat the pizza, but I will be like absolutely not on the drink. Like I just
on the drink.
I'll be like, what I say to people is that I try not to drink calories. That's what I say. Like I pretty much tell people, I got that from a nutritionist. I was watching YouTube and he said, if you cut out drinking calories from your diet and nothing else, if you just start with that, just don't drink calories, start with that, you will lose so much weight. And ever since I heard that, and this is like 10 plus years ago, ever since I heard that, I was like, damn, that's a good point. Like drinking calories is a thing. And you can just cut that out.
Because it's so fucking easy to drink shit.
It is.
And you just drink. So that's what you were saying earlier. You love sweets and everything like that. For me, the problem is because obviously I fucking love cookies and all that shit too.
Yeah.
But I'm very rarely put myself in a position that my problem to get to the point is, and I think a lot of people have this problem, is I just like to snack on things every now and then.
Me too.
But it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't need to be chips. It can be like grapes, and even grapes still have a lot of sugar. But still, like grapes are better than chips, and there's things better than grapes. But the point is, if I could just put healthy snacks in my area, like I'll just snack on, like, you know what I mean? Like they don't have to be cookies for me.
For me, it's
like
nuts.
I just want to snack.
Like now, I just eat on nuts. I eat like walnuts, pecans.
I want to get those wasabi Johns, those wasabi pea nuts or whatever.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know if I've ever had them though.
They're so good. My dad has them, and every time I'm at his house, I eat them. But I never bought them for myself. I need to go buy them.
They're
love
fucking peanuts, good. Like just a bag of peanuts or a little Planters peanuts container thing.
Yeah, they're not peanuts. They're like, I don't know if they're nuts or if they're peas, but they're like made with wasabi.
They might just be because they're healthy, or they're healthier than like most things.
I think they are. I think they're healthier as long as, because there's different brands. I think some brands add sugar, and obviously that's never good. But the regular ones that don't add sugar, once again, I don't think they're not the best healthy thing, but they're infinitely healthier than a bag of barbecue chips.
Yeah, like even when I eat peanuts, I eat like a little thing of Planters peanuts, and I'll get the unsalted. I'll eat the salted if that's all that's around, but typically I'll get the unsalted Planters peanuts, and that for me is a snack that completely will satiate my craving to just snack on things. But I agree with you when you say I just like to snack in general, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a cake or a cookie or anything. It's just that I kind of have, I guess, a bit of an oral fixation with just wanting to chew. Yeah, you know, something like eat something. I just want to eat something.
Yeah, I just want something there. Like if I'm sitting there playing a game or watching a movie or whatever, or binging an anime for this podcast, I just want something to stick my hand into and to grab something edible and then eat, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
And I just need to find more things that aren't fucking chips or whatever to do that.
Yeah. So we can transition from this topic. We're now an hour in. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, did we ever talk about that submarine and that whole debacle on this podcast? Because I don't think we have.
No. You know what's crazy is fucking James Cameron, the guy that made the movie Titanic. I saw, and for anybody who's seen this podcast, you know I'm a James Cameron hater. I think he sucks. But anyway, as a director, not as a person. Titanic sucks. Anyway, he was talking about that incident. I saw a video of him. So apparently he knew about this company like whenever they were made. Right. I think most of the world didn't know they existed until
because we're not
the accident happened.
We don't have $250K to go in the water.
He apparently knew like a bunch of the problems that we're all hearing about what happened with that submarine company. He knew all of those and like wrote letters to them and like notified different boards and stuff. But like I guess being the writer of Titanic and it meaning something to him, this submarine that would go down and look at the Titanic, like he was adamantly trying to be like, you guys need to get fucking actually certified. Like you're not actually certified for safety and all these other things.
He's taken dozens of trips to James Cameron has taken dozens of trips to the Titanic wreckage in the proper, submersible. And he was saying that the shit that they were using was literally not okay. Like, this is a disaster waiting to happen. I don't care how many times you guys have gotten away with it. It's eventually going to be a disaster. And so he was very vocal about it before it even happened, mind you.
Yeah, which I didn't know until after it happened. And then I saw the videos.
Because who the fuck is checking for what James Cameron's talking about, right? And that's kind of the unfortunate part about this whole thing. But it was 5 people, I think. One of them was a young person, maybe a teenager.
There was a kid apparently. I just heard this. There was a kid apparently who didn't want to go. He was scared to go, but he went because his dad wanted to go, and it was Father's Day. He went.
Oh shit! This did happen on Father's Day.
Yeah, the only reason why he went, because he was apparently scared to go, but he went with his dad because his dad wanted to go, and it was Father's Day.
Guilted into fucking going into his actual death. That's fucked up. I didn't know. I forgot that this happened on Father's Day for one.
Yeah.
But that is actually awful. Or like it happened around Father's Day, even if it wasn't on the day of. The whole point was that we're going to go on this trip around that day.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is actually awful. I did not know that part because in my head, if my dad's like, I want to do this thing, and obviously they're very rich, so their lifestyle, I can't relate. Right, like what the things that they do for fun, I just can't relate. I'm too poor to know anything about paying.
Really, never in my life was like, one day I'm gonna go on a submarine and see the Titanic. Like,
yeah, it's not even
that was
like,
never a thing I would ever think I could afford.
it's not even, to me, it's two things, right? So it's one, yes, I can't afford it because apparently it's $250,000. I just don't have that to throw into the fucking actual ocean. So that's one. But the other thing is that my brain doesn't even think of that as something that I want to do for fun or any other reason.
That's not even remotely interesting. Like,
I said I could name a
such
million
a waste
things.
of fucking time.
Yes. I said I could name a million actual activities before I would get to visit the Titanic. Before I get to visit the Titanic's wreckage, I could name an actual million things that I'd rather do with my free time and my $250,000. Yep. So yeah, that's wild though. Most of the people on it, well, I think everyone on it was very rich, and one of them was a billionaire, or more than one of them was a billionaire. And some of them had taken this trip before, so it wasn't like this is our first time and it just went wrong the first time. Whoever was responsible for leading this whole mission had done it before and was like assuring everybody this is going to be fine. And obviously it wasn't fine. And the whole internet for about a week was just completely immersed, no pun intended, in this entire story. And everyone was really invested in, like, I hope that they find them. I hope that they surface. And people were counting down the oxygen that they had left. And everyone at my job was talking about it. Like, every time we had a Zoom meeting or anything, somehow, some way, either before the meeting would take place, in that period where you're just kind of waiting for everybody to get in, or right after the meeting would be over, when everybody's just like, hey, what's going on in your life outside of work? Somehow the conversation would just lead into the submarine. And everybody was like, oh man, I feel so bad. I hope they find them. And like, they only had, did you hear they only have 20 hours of air left, and tomorrow's the last day. And if they don't find them soon, and then some people were just talking about how even if they find them, how are they going to actually get them back up to the surface? Like, what kind of equipment do you need to even do something like that? Because, you know, that low, the water pressure and like everything, all the logistics of it is just really, really a bad situation. But yeah, it was a lot of doom and gloom surrounding it. And then it got really close to those last hours. And I personally did feel bad too. Like, I don't wish death on random strangers, no matter how dumb their decision was, right? Because I do think that this whole thing
they didn't deserve to fucking die. And like we already said, you know, some of them, who knows the reason why some of them were on there. Like, one of them was apparently a kid who was kind of like bullied into getting on for like Father's Day.
At the very least, guilted into going on.
Yeah.
And I think that the mom said that she didn't want him to go either. Like, she didn't want the son to go either, but the dad, you know, assured her and was like, yo, it's fine. Like, I've done it, obviously. He's like, yeah, but I don't like this thing. Just imagine losing your fucking family to that. That's awful. Losing your family like that is so awful. Excuse me. It's so awful. I just feel really bad for all the survivors of those people who died in that thing. They said apparently, though, they died pretty immediately. Like,
yeah, from what I heard, like, everybody like looking for it and like counting, like, from what I heard, the thing just like exploded the day one. Like, it just exploded, and
it didn't get far at all, apparently. Like, it got, you know, obviously pretty deep, and then it just actually imploded. And so they died basically on the spot. I think a lot of people said that they didn't even feel anything. It was a quick death. So for what it's worth, you know, there's that. I remember social media was obviously making jokes. There was a lot of memes and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw one of them that was really funny. And it was like that famous Michelle Obama quote, when they go low, we go high. And they changed it to like, when they go low, we go submarine. It was just like, basically saying, like, if you go low, I'm going to go absolutely to hell. Like, I'm gonna, if you say something about my mom, I'm gonna say something about your dead grandma. Like, basically just going, when they go low, we go submarine. And I was like, yeah, the internet just doesn't give a fuck about anything. Twitter doesn't take a single thing seriously. A lot of funny memes. There was a lot of SpongeBob memes, of course, that came from that and that were used, but overall, a pretty sad situation. And I just realized that we never talked about it, but it had the whole internet in a chokehold. Like, did they talk about it at your job at all? Did people bring it up?
Yeah. I mean, everywhere I went, people talked about it. Okay. It was definitely like the talk of the town for that week.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's a shame. It also sucks that like there are people that died. And at the end of the day, like, I don't care. I'm super into comedy, so I don't care. You can make a joke about anything. But it does suck to have died in a way where, for the most part, everybody just makes fun of your death. Because
you're so outrageously rich, and people naturally just want to see the downfall of rich people. But not only that, it writes itself. It's like, oh,
you got in a submarine to go see the unsinkable ship? Like, what? Like, yeah, no shit, the submarine's gonna fucking blow up. Like
you went to see the Titanic and you became the Titanic.
Yeah, and so now there's going to be a submarine that goes to see the Titanic and the submarine.
Yes, and then that one's going to also fucking sink. It's actually crazy. I was like, yeah, that shit's cursed. I would just stay away from the Titanic as a whole. Clearly, it's not meant to be explored.
You're the kind of person that believes in bad juju. There's a lot of dead bodies in that vicinity.
Yes.
So,
and there was one of the memes was like, it was like, imagine the faces of all the people who died on the Titanic when they turn around and see new guests. Like when they fucking turn around and be like, who the fuck are these 5 people? Like, where did y'all come from? I'm like, where the hell? How do we get new people? So yeah,
oh my god,
the whole situation. But yeah, the internet definitely made its jokes about it. I laughed for sure because, like Kenny said, if something is funny, I think that as long as it's funny, it's not offensive. That's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah,
if it's actually funny. If you just say something that's just not very funny, like there's even times where some bigot shit is said, some bigotry is said, and I'm like, yo, I laughed because it is fucked up, but it's just so funny that I can't.
These videos I've been seeing every now and then. Sometimes when I'm at work and nothing's happening, I'll just go on YouTube, and then it's easy to just scroll through shorts, easier than like watching a video because most shorts are subtitled, and my shorts algorithm is all comedy. It's either a clip from a comedian's podcast or just like a clip from a random stand-up comedy. But every now and then something random will be in there.
Yeah.
And so there's these videos, and it's like this black guy, this pretty black guy. I guess he's like a content creator, but he goes to this really dirty looking white guy who apparently is like a KKK member. And he just talks to him, and he like goes up and he says like one of the shorts was like, he asked him he was like, hey, who's your favorite rapper? And he puts the mic, and like, by the way, you can tell this white guy's not an actor. Like, he's a dirty ass old KKK member. You can tell by looking at him. So the black guy walks up to him and he's like, hey, who's your favorite rapper? Like, and then he hands him the mic, and the white guy goes, which one died most recently?
Oh, like, shit.
Just like the wildest shit.
Just straight off the bat. Just straight off the bat.
They just say the most, like, and it's so funny because like
unhinged.
They're just going back and forth, and it's like this black guy who's making money off of it, and he's just going up to this racist ass white guy
I guess that the guy, the black guy, is like very calm in every scenario.
He's so fucking calm about the whole thing. He just walks up to him and like asks him like funny shit, and then the white guy just says like the most unhinged, like low key racist shit you could ever think of.
Yes. Like it's low key, but not actually.
Yeah,
but it's funny, and that's the point that I'm making is like, if something is funny, I can laugh at it in general. I know everyone doesn't feel that way. Some people feel like, oh, it's punching low or it's hitting down or whatever terminology people use for that. But like, to me, if it makes most people laugh and it's actually funny, I do not mind. And that's basically how I feel about Dave Chappelle and being my favorite comedian. I think that a lot of things that he says, a lot of things he says are inflammatory, but I find him so funny that I don't really care. So there's that. Even though he makes fun of a community that I do belong to, or multiple communities that I belong to, I still find it very funny.
There was this one thing where somebody told an offensive joke. It was like a comedian, I don't remember which one. And there's a lady in the audience like heckling, and then she says like, "You're not funny." And then he like argues with her and like that comedian way where he just makes them look stupid.
Yes.
And then at the end of it, like the whole crowd laughs, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, did you hear that laugh? That means I'm funny." Like
shit. Like make you look dumb. Like everyone
just one person.
Yes, literally one person in the masses. You can't make everyone happy. So no matter what, I feel like every joke nowadays with
it's all gonna make someone upset.
Yeah, someone's gonna be offended by everything. Speaking of inflammatory things on the internet, so the last couple of weeks have been filled with a lot of victimhood or misogyny or just the internet being outraged over other people's business. But Keke Palmer went to the Usher concert. He is currently doing a residency in Las Vegas. He's been on residency for a long time now. It's been several months. And when you go to the show, if you are a celebrity or if you're someone of importance, he will typically bring you up on the stage or just bring you close to him, and he will actually serenade you, women anyway. So Keke Palmer, who is very famous black actress, very beautiful woman. She's very young. She just had a baby. She's not married. So she had a baby with this guy named Darius Dalton. And in the clip that went viral, she was at the Usher concert She has on a very, very nice sheer dress. So the dress, you can blatantly just see her body parts, except her breasts are covered up, but her butt is basically just visible. And granted, like you can't see anything between the cheeks or anything like that, but like her actual ass cheeks, the actual ass cheeks, you can see them in this dress. The dress is it's a very beautiful dress, right? It's very revealing. So she's at the concert. Usher brings her up. He's serenading her, and she is absolutely swooning over him, right? Like she is completely smitten by Usher and his singing, and he's looking at her like, damn, because her body is amazing. The baby did a lot for her. She was very, very skinny before. Now she's filled out a lot. So she's a very beautiful, voluptuous woman now, and her curves are all in the right places. And so she's clearly taken in by Usher's serenade, and he goes, her boyfriend, her baby's father, goes on Twitter and he goes, "It's the outfit though, you're a mom." So immediately the internet was like, oh, so your girlfriend's not allowed to wear like these clothes because, she's a mom now. So now you get to police her body and tell her what is right or wrong for her to wear. And it sparked this entire thing where he just got flamed and dragged for essentially trying to police what Keke Palmer wears, despite the fact they're not married. That is her boyfriend and the father of her child, but they're not actually married. And he voiced that sentence, and it literally resulted in the whole internet going up in flames because half of the people were like, well, I do think that there's a certain thing as respect when you're in a relationship with someone, right? Like you should not, because she gets up close and personal with Usher. This is not some very just playful type of thing. Clearly this guy's ego was bruised because of what he saw. Like Usher is singing to your girl was giving into it. She's like rubbing on him and everything. It's a very playful / intimate moment that I could understand why somebody would be jealous about this.
Here's the thing. I just want to quick interject, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
During I think it was when Rihanna, what album was the song Skin on? Was that Loud?
It might have been Loud. I'm not 100% sure, but I do know the song Skin because it's one of my favorite songs by Rihanna.
So I'm pretty sure that's the song. But so during that tour, Rihanna, like at every venue, she would do that song and she would bring a guy up from the crowd and basically give the guy a lap dance while performing the song, right? And essentially what I'm saying here is like in this Usher situation, if I get to go get a lap dance from Rihanna and anybody has a problem with it, you need to relax, all right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, I don't know. I think of it as a different thing. Like, I don't know. You're at a concert or whatever. It's kind of just like a different situation.
I agree with you.
As long as you're not going to the back with them. Like if it's just the thing on stage, it's just like the thing on stage.
Where everyone can see it. It's very visible to the entire audience. You're not gonna sleep with this fucking performer after the show or anything like that. It's very clearly...
So if you're at an Usher concert and it's on stage, whatever, you know what I mean? And it's just what's happening on stage and it's just like part of the show. I mean, I think you need to relax a little bit. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
I agree. I like that take a lot. I think that I've seen growing up, Janet Jackson, Madonna, and all these other performers bring men up on stage and do lap dances on them. You know what I'm talking about, too.
Yeah, yeah.
You've seen Janet Jackson do some of her older work where a guy is literally strapped in some kind of bondage machine, and she's like saddling him and just riding him. And the best part about the internet is that they take everything seriously, but they also take everything unseriously. So what you saw were memes coming out about how Keke Palmer got me fucked up. The next day I would have been just like this. And it was literally the guy strapped to a fucking bondage bed with Janet Jackson saddling him and like kissing on his neck and licking his ears and shit. It's like, I'd have been just like this the very next day if that was my girl. And so, the internet can't take anything seriously. But at the same time, the reason why I even brought this up is because some people felt like, some people took the side of, most of it was men, but there were also women too who were saying like, yo, you got to be respectful. Like, you are in a relationship. You shouldn't be doing this. First of all, that outfit is a little too revealing. And that was a conversation about whether the outfit was inappropriate or not. And then the other part of it was, should you be so blatantly swooned by another man when you have a man at home, he's home with the baby, and like, how men's egos can be, very...
That's all bullshit, man. I fucking hate how fucking bitch made so many men are. It is so crazy to me. I think the whole alpha male movement is some of the most beta shit I've ever seen in my life.
Andrew Tate's.
Like the whole alpha male shit, and like they are some of the most beta fucking men I've ever seen.
Yes,
and I'm so tired. Let me just hit it real quick. Like, I don't understand, because look, I don't understand why, if any guy on the fucking planet walks outside without a shirt on, and like let's say they have a nice body, they have a really nice abs and pecs or what, blah blah blah, and they have like nobody, and they're like clearly abs and arms, and like that's what, not all women, but there's a lot of women that find that attractive on a guy, and like if you can see kind of like that like V and like whatever, blah blah blah, right? Like I just feel like she's wearing a dress, like sure it's a little see-through, which by the way isn't that uncommon in Hollywood. I don't know. I just think it's like if a guy was in a situation, just like many guys were in it with Rihanna and Janet Jackson, etc. Like nobody says a fucking word. Like nobody says a word. Nobody cares. It's also extremely common practice for guys, regardless of whether or not they're married, to like go to the strip club. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like if you get mad at that, you know, that's your fault. You shouldn't get like. So it's just crazy to me that like everybody's super like. It's just so double standardy where it's like, oh yeah, like if a guy goes to a strip club, whatever. But like if the girl has a nice ass and you can see her ass in the dress, it's like she should really respect the fact that she has kids. It's like fucking relax. Like I don't know. I just think people get so up in arms about this is random shit.
This is multi-layered because one of the big arguments that also came out of this was, sure, you can be insecure about this as a man and feel like you don't want your girl, you know, being serenaded by Usher and giving into it on stage and all that stuff, or not wearing that outfit or whatever, however you feel. You're allowed to feel that way. But should you go on Twitter and air her out in front of millions
that's
of
some beta shit. Like that's some little bitch shit.
Right. And that's the stance that
have that conversation with your girl at home. Also,
correct.
I don't know if these two live together, but they have a baby. So I'm just going to assume they live together. Did you not see what she was wearing when she left the house? Like, don't act brand new because like she went on stage. Like my thing, like
the other thing was that he took
the house
photos,
wearing it.
He took photos of her when she was pregnant. And she was basically just completely naked for the most part. Like you could see a lot of her body. She was holding her boobs, right? So you couldn't see. She didn't have a bra on though. But there's a photo of her on the internet that he posted. He took and he posted it of her. And the caption says something like, "My baby is making my baby look way better," or something like that. Like basically alluding to the fact that because I got her pregnant, her body looks better now. Alluding to that, and it's a photo of essentially Keke Palmer naked, right? Like she's covering up her private parts, but she is naked in the photo. And people were like, "Is this you?" You know how the internet do.
Yeah.
Like it was okay, you know, then, but now, when we all got to see her naked body because you posted it. But now that Usher's involved, you have a problem with it. And then they were like, "I'm not even mad that you are insecure about it. I'm more mad that you went on the internet." And but you're a mom now on Twitter, which is like blatantly just dragging your girlfriend,
I'll say as a side note, there's this weird thing. I don't know what it is. There's this weird thing where people are just okay with showing people naked when they're pregnant. I have a friend and he got his girlfriend pregnant. Okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, she's had the baby, but a couple of weeks ago, right? He just randomly. He's like, "Oh yeah, she's pregnant. She's getting really big now." He's like, "Do you want to see a picture?" And I was like, "Sure." Because like, what do you like? Really, I don't care. I don't care to see your girlfriend's fat belly because she's pregnant. Not in a disrespectful way, but it's like I don't care about any pictures anybody wants to show me. I don't care that you're all like I know what pregnant people look like. My sister's pregnant. Like I know what they look like. I don't care, and I don't really know his girlfriend. The point is though, he shows me his phone. And it's a picture of his girlfriend completely naked. Like I just see her titties and everything. And I was like, "Oh yeah, man, she's definitely pregnant." Like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
Like
maternity photos, I've definitely seen some ones that are very revealing. And you know, I'm not a woman. I don't really I'm not really into the maternity shoots and all that stuff, but I know people do it and it's something that they like. But I've gone on Instagram before and I've definitely seen some basically nudes that I rather have not seen at all. Like women who are just completely fucking naked and their bellies are out and like, you know, you get to see their body.
It's fine if they're like, it's fine to be proud of your, the point that I'm making that I think is weird. And the reason why I brought it up is because you said this was posted by the husband or boyfriend.
He's the boyfriend, yeah.
And my personal experience, once again, the boyfriend just shows me, like, I just think it's weird. If the woman is proud of her body and she wants to take pictures of it and remember it and like be proud of it that she's pregnant and everything, that's all cool. I just think it's kind of weird that when the boyfriends or the husbands are like showing you pictures of their girlfriend basically naked under the justification of they're pregnant. Like that is so weird to me.
Yeah, I just don't like when people post their maternity shoots and they're naked in general. Like every time I see that shit, I click on hide post because I don't know. Like I'm not offended by someone's naked body or whatever, but I just don't want to see it. Like I just don't want to see it. It's just not something that I want to see unless I'm looking for specifically that type of thing. Like I don't think anybody wants to see my fucking naked ass on their timeline unsolicited. Granted, they'll take my post down, but yeah, whatever. Like I'm just not into. If I want to see naked bodies, I know where to go. I go to Twitter. That's exactly where I go if I want to see naked bodies.
Is Rihanna pregnant again? Because I feel like it's fat. Like I was like, I'm pretty sure she had her baby, and then randomly I saw pictures of her pregnant again, and I was like, and she was like wearing lingerie for her company, and I was just like, is she I was like, either this is a really long pregnancy, or she got pregnant, and she got pregnant again fast.
She did.
It reminds me of there's an episode of One Piece where
what? I don't remember.
There's an episode of One Piece where somebody's like threatening Usopp or whatever, and basically Usopp, being the guy that he is, he goes, "Please don't harm me. I have 10 kids, and none of them are 5 yet." Like something wild. Like like he just says something wild. Like I have 10 kids and none of them are 5 yet. Like what are you fucking talking about? Anyway, that's how I felt when I saw Rihanna's pregnant again. I was like, dog, again?
Now what Usopp said is technically possible though.
It is.
Like
it is.
if Papa was a Rolling Stone, it is possible. But okay, so back to this Keke Palmer thing. I will quickly say this because he did tweet out after he got dragged by the internet. He tweeted out, "We live in a generation where a man of the family doesn't want the wife and mother to his kids to showcase booty cheeks to please others, and he gets told how much of a hater he is. This is my family and my representation. I have standards and morals to what I believe. I rest my case." Now,
no. First of all, she just went to the concert, right? She didn't know she was going to be on stage. Number one,
this was not planned.
Okay. Number one, she just went to the concert. She didn't wear that fucking dress to please anyone but her fucking self. Yep. She thought the dress looked good, and she was happy the way she looked in it, and that's why she fucking wore the dress. She didn't wear that dress to please anyone. That's number one. Number two, she didn't know she was going to be on stage, so once again, wasn't wearing it to please anyone. Number three, she's a fucking actor, and the whole world is going to see her and look at her anyway. Yes. There's nothing you can do about it. That's life. The whole world, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, as the saying goes. When you are a public figure, you're a public figure. Keke Palmer is a public figure. So at the end of the day, you're never going to get the perfect private family that you want because she's a public figure.
Yeah. And also the whole "I have standards and morals," that's really interesting that he said that, because one of the first things that people commented under that, and I agree, was like, oh, that's interesting. Did you decide to have standards and morals before or after you knocked her up out of wedlock?
Yeah, right?
It's like, because all of a sudden, now it's a problem that she's dressed like this and she's a mom now, but you were perfectly okay with getting this woman knocked up and having a baby out of wedlock, but you have standards and morals. Well, I guess that those don't include marrying this woman who's having your child, right? Like,
yeah, like if he was on the beach with his fucking shirt off or whatever, and the whole I don't know who this guy is, by the way. I don't know if he has a nice spot or whatever. But let's just say if he was just out there with his fucking shirt off and he's rippling abs and the whole internet was getting wet for him, and then like she got mad about it, what do you think he'd be like? Relax, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a lot. But yeah, that was basically the controversy with that. And then there was another one that came out like really soon after.
So by the way, you're about to talk about what's the guy's Jonah Hill, right?
Yes.
So before the podcast, Fraser said he was going to talk about the Jonah Hill thing, right? And I was like, all right, cool. I know a little bit about it, but not much. I'm sure Fraser will inform me on some things, but this is how much I didn't know about. I knew that it was like a thing between Jonah Hill and his girlfriend or wife. I don't know which one it is.
She's his girlfriend.
So Jonah Hill and his girlfriend, and I knew there was drama between the two of them. So when the Keke Palmer story started, I was like, in my head, I was like, Jonah Hill was dating Keke Palmer? Right. I thought these two stories, when he started talking about Keke Palmer, I was like, really? I was like, Jonah Hill was dating Keke. Good for him. I didn't know he was dating Keke Palmer. I had no idea the Keke Palmer thing. I had no idea this was its own set of drama that also happened. So I thought this was all one story, and I was confused until I realized these are two different stories.
Yes. So it starts off with basically he's been dating this semi-professional surfer girl, and the girl, you know, when he slid into her DMs or whatever, however they got together, she had on a very, very nice bikini outfit, as you would expect of a surfer. And that's basically what attracted him to her, you know, typical male stuff, right? Like you see a beautiful girl, you see her body and everything like that. So he hits her up, they start dating, they become a boyfriend and girlfriend in a relationship for months or whatever. And then he starts sending her text messages, kind of making demands that this is how I want things to go. So she posted it because she feels like he was emotionally abusing her. And she shared the screenshots. And this also sent the internet ablaze because half the people felt like she was playing victim, and then half the people felt like he was being a manipulative, narcissistic person. So there's like a lot to unpack here, but let's just start off with. So it says the former couple started dating in August 2021 and made their red carpet debut at the Don't Look Up premiere in December of that year, and they split in early 2022. So they didn't last very long. August 2021 to early 2022. So it only was a few months. In the screenshots, which Sarah, that's the girl, posted on her Instagram, a contact that is saved on her phone as Jonah can be seen making a list of demands. And it goes on to say these include her being expected to delete any photos and videos of herself in swimwear from her Instagram profile. The text also detailed the sender's boundaries if Sarah wants to remain in a romantic partnership with him. So it says here, this is from Jonah. This is his side. He says, respect however you want to live your life. You only get one. Sort of done with explaining myself. And then his girlfriend responded, said, I removed 3 of the videos. It is my best surfing video though. So like, I don't want to remove that one. Would you feel better if the cover frame was different? Any more specific ones that bother you? He says, yes, one that isn't of your ass in a thong. And she goes, well, it's not a thong, but okay. And so then the article goes on to say these boundaries included Sarah not surfing with men at all, not having boundaryless inappropriate relationships or friendships with men, not modeling, and not having friendships with women who are in unstable places. These are all in quotes. So all of these things about boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, friendships with women who are in unstable places. Those are direct quotes from Jonah. Unless it's limited to getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful. Then he gives a list. And it says, plain and simple, this is his words, plain and simple. If you need surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, to post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit, to post sexual pictures, friendships with women who are in unstable places, and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust. And then basically they were saying that he's misusing the word boundaries because these are more like demands instead of boundaries. They're basically ultimatums. So that's essentially the gist of it. It's a lot more of that, of him saying, hey, I support you if you want to engage in this behavior. If you want to post pictures of yourself in a bikini, if you want to post pictures of yourself in thong, if you want to model, if you want to hang around men, if you want to hang around your girlfriends who are, as he calls them, inappropriate people who are just wild from your past. If those things are what you want to do with your life, me and you simply will not work. And he said, I support you in everything you do, but for me to be in a romantic relationship, these are my boundaries. This is what I'm not willing to accept. So again, half the people felt like he was manipulating her, and then half the people felt like she's playing victim. So on the one hand, right, you know, the relationship ended basically soon after that because I guess they just had irreconcilable differences. And from my perspective, it's like this. It could be considered manipulation, the way he worded things and the way he put it, where he said like, okay, I don't want to be with you if you engage in this kind of behavior, which apparently is the same behavior that when he got with her, that's what she was doing at the time. So like you were attracted to her when she was posting these things, and this is how she was, right? Like that's how you got with her. You got with her, you seen her page. This is what her page was. It's videos of her surfing, videos of her with men, videos of her in bikinis and swimsuits and all types of very revealing things. This is how she was when you got with her. And now that she's fallen in love with you after months, you woke up and decided to make all of these demands like, hey, in order for us to go any further, I'm going to need you to not do any of these things that you've been doing up until this point. Now, I get that because that is kind of like wild. If somebody came to me and was like, hey, after like 4 or 5 months of us being together, if they were like, hey, I really would appreciate if you no longer did that podcast with Kenny. I don't really like him. I also would like it if you did not play video games or did not travel for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because when you're out of state, I have no idea what you're doing while you're not around. Like you could be doing anything when you're in North Carolina or when you're in California or whatever. So if you're going to travel, I would just like you to not do that with your friends because your friends are just kind of like, they're wild from your past. And I'm not a fan of that. I would tell them to go fuck themselves. Flat out, right? If somebody said that to me. But my thing is this. If someone said that and you're like, okay, well, that's just the end of this relationship, I don't see anything wrong with that. Like that person is clearly fucking delusional and sick in the head for thinking that you're about to literally give up the things in your life that make you happy for them. But I'm not mad at him for literally saying these are the things that I'm not comfortable with. And if you need to do them, then we shouldn't be together. Because to me, that is very transparent. He clearly is incapable of dealing with her getting attention from other people. That's what this was all about. It's the same thing with Keke Palmer's boyfriend, who couldn't deal with her getting the attention from not only Usher, but from the whole internet in that dress and everything. Is like, oh, your insecurities are showing. And I don't mind someone saying, hey, essentially, I'm insecure about these things. I can't handle it. And if you're going to continue to do them, we shouldn't be together. I think that is what most people are lacking nowadays. And instead of saying what they want or what they don't want, they just ghost each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it's interesting because these are two somewhat similar situations.
Yeah.
But on one, so basically I think that on one end, it is fucking crazy. Like if you're dating somebody who is a model to then say, or like to then say like take down your modeling photos. It's literally like, well, that's my job.
Yep.
And when you met me, I was already a model and a surfer, and so to start dating someone and then all of a sudden be totally against everything that they were when you met them is like super toxic. But so I think he's kind of a bitch for even kind of thinking that way, but at the same time, he has a right to kind of feel and think however he wants. And I do think, based on a little bit that I know from these text messages, he presented it in a way that was like you said, pretty transparent. He was like, these are my insecurities, and if you can't abide by them or whatever, follow the boundaries, however you want to word it, but if you're not okay with this, then maybe we just shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
As silly and immature maybe the reasons were, I think the way that's handled, based on my perspective on the little bit that I know, is actually a really mature way to handle it. And I think there was kind of no reason for her to, unless there's more that I don't know,
right?
There's kind of no reason for her to post those text. Like I'm pretty much always against the whole like outing people.
I hate it.
I'm super against like the outing people. Like oh well, here's the text messages we had. It's like, yo, just talk to each other in private and like deal with it in private. Like if you guys are going to break up, then you guys just break up. Like there's no reason to air the text messages out. Like you guys are just going to break up. And that's it.
Yeah, I do not like when people air out text messages that are very private after, and this is a while after they broke up too. So like, I'm not really sure what made her decide almost a year later to be like, hey, I'm going to post all this shit for clout or whatever the hell people do that stuff for on the internet. But she's using it under the guise of, oh, I'm protecting some woman down the line who might get involved with Jonah Hill. And when he does this to you in the middle of the relationship and asks you to change everything about yourself, hopefully people will see this and know that he's like this, which, you know, sure. Although he's not, this is not R. Kelly we're talking about, but the internet made it seem like he was a monster. And I just don't feel that way. Sorry, not sorry. But like, at the end of the day, if somebody's telling you, hey, these things make me insecure, this is what I do not like, and I would appreciate if you don't do it anymore, you can literally tell them to go fuck themselves, which I guess is what she did. Maybe not. I think that she ended up saying like, hey, like this really hurts me that you want me to stop all these things, whatever. You know, she tried to plead her case, but he was just very stern in the whole, if you're going to do these things, we simply cannot be together. Again, I'm not saying this is like a way to attack you or anything like that. I'm just letting you know, I can't handle you being this way, period. And if this is how you need to be, then you should just be with someone else. Period. And again, whether you feel that that is fucked up for him to do or not, people feel like it's manipulation or not, the reality is someone being that transparent with you about exactly what they want and don't want is a godsend. I think that is actually one of, like you said, mature. Yeah. It's a very mature thing to just be like, I simply can't handle these pictures of you being on the internet. I feel like I'm the only one who should see you like this. So because of that, I'm going to ask that you either don't do this anymore and take down the ones that are already existing, or man, you cannot be together anymore. I've basically have done something similar, but it wasn't them changing who they are as a person. It's more so like you're doing this behavior that I think everyone would agree is pretty fucking sketchy and toxic in general, not just me who's in a relationship with you. And I'm going to ask that you stop. Otherwise, if you feel like you just can't stop doing this, that's fine, but we can't be together anymore. Like you can continue to do this thing that is literally destroying your life, and that's fine. I'm just not the person for you. Like if you have to, I'm just gonna throw out some random things. These are not actually applicable to the situation I was in, but let's say if you have a drug addiction or a gambling addiction or anything like that, if you can't help yourself and you feel like you need to absolutely get high or you need to absolutely go to the casino and spend all your money there or whatever the case may be, then by all means, you should either be single or be with someone else who's willing to tolerate that. I simply am not. And I would appreciate if, you took the chance to consider my emotions in this. And if you feel like, hey, I still want to do these things, then we can't be together anymore. You can't have both, though. And I'm letting you know that up front, we can't have both. I could just stop talking to you, though. I could literally just ghost you, never say another word to you again, and you will be wondering for the rest of your life what the fuck happened to Jonah Hill, or what the fuck happened to Fraser, whatever that case may be.
I know, as an example, like this is a long time ago. I remember I was maybe 18 or whatever, and I remember one time my dad was talking to one of his friends, and basically his friend was complaining. And apparently, I guess they would have had a precursor to this conversation that I wasn't there for, but I was there for this one. My dad's friend was complaining that his wife doesn't do anything around the house. She doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, or any of that stuff. And my dad was like, yeah, but she didn't do that before you guys got married. He was like, because apparently this guy was basically saying that he thought when we got married, she would all of a sudden change who she is and start cleaning the house and cook. But like, that was never who that woman was. So my dad was like, if that's the woman you wanted, that wasn't the woman you were dating and not the woman you married. So to expect her to change completely who she is after you got married, just because you got married, is super immature. Like, there's no way that was going to happen. You don't get married and then all of a sudden you change who you are.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people put these weird things on their significant other, where they start dating them and then they think that like eventually this person is going to be who I want them to be.
Right.
And it's like, they were never that. And
yeah, you met them a certain way. You met a stripper, and then you're mad if she lives a promiscuous lifestyle after you guys are together. But it's like, well, that is what she was already doing when you found her. Like, you found her in the strip club.
Yeah.
So if she's still like shaking her ass and dancing from here and like every once in a while, whatever, then you can't really be surprised that that's the woman that you ended up getting in a relationship with or marrying, right? Like, yeah, that's who she was when you met her. Like, just like you said, I really can't word it more perfectly than that. If you wanted the person who was going to be the housewife, and I'm using air quotes here, the conventional housewife, somebody who cooks and cleans, as you put it, then like, absolutely, you should have found the woman who cooks and cleans around the house and does those types of things. There are women out there who would love to do that.
It's completely unfair to anybody, to the woman, to the man, to whoever it is. It's completely unfair for the other person, whether it be guy, girl, guy, girl, guy. It's completely unfair for you to be like, well, this is the person I want you to, like, I wanted you to be.
Yes.
After, like, you, like, let's say after you get married, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, you can't do any of these because we're married. Or, for example, in the first, like, but you're a mom though. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, I wore these dresses when you met me. So now because I have a kid, I can't fucking dress the way I want and like be happy about myself and be happy about the way I look. It's like, this is who the fuck I am. And so anyway, yeah, I just think there's a lot of immaturity in that. So I think in the case for Jonah Hill, for example, I think what he was complaining about is kind of crazy because it's like, that's who she was when you met her. But at the same time, I think the fact that he basically said like, hey, regardless of any of the reasons, I'm insecure about these things. So I think we should not be together if they don't change. I think that is a mature way to handle, in my opinion, fairly immature opinions.
Yep. I agree in a weird way, right? It is an immature thing to be like, I don't want you to be the way you were before you met me, in any capacity. And these things literally bring this woman happiness. She is a surfer. That is what she does. That is literally her life's work. That is what it's like. Again, it's like somebody tell me, don't podcast, don't make YouTube videos, and don't do Yu-Gi-Oh. I'll be like, well, okay. If you don't like Kenny, or if you don't like my friends who I hang out with, who I went to Chubby Cattle with, you feel like they're all just like bad for me or whatever. You can feel that way. I'm not going to stop talking to them, seeing them, being their friends, or any of that stuff. I'm not going to stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh for you. I'm not doing any of that shit. And if that stuff makes you uncomfortable, then yes, I agree. We shouldn't be together. And that would actually be the end of it for me. Now, what may be hard about this is that Jonah Hill is a very, very, very rich man. And I bet that she was willing to put up with it for longer than a normal person would be because of who he is. And that's also why these text messages got aired out to the internet, is because he's a public figure. Because I feel like if this is some random fucking Joe who works at a pizza shop, this would not have happened, right? Like, you're not airing out these text messages to Twitter if it's just some random Joe. But because it's this big time actor, it's like, yeah, let me make him look like a terrible person. And whether you believe that or not is your prerogative. I feel like it's still a very mature thing to say, I can't handle this. I don't want to do these things. And whether you feel like they're demands or boundaries, as he called them, or manipulations, or whatever you want to call it, whether you feel like that or not, at the end of the day, I think that there is something to be said about somebody telling you straight up, this is what I'm not willing to deal with. Now, one of the things that people said was problematic about it was that he waited until she like fell in love with him. And I think that's also what she might have said in one of the text messages. I'm not sure. But basically, like, okay, so I've been with you for several months now, and you've known all these things about me. This is how you met me. And now that I'm in love with you, you're like, okay, so now change, which is really fucking hard to do and really obnoxious to do when I've fallen for you now. Like it's not easy for me to be like, all right, one day I'm just not going to be with you anymore off of a whim that you kind of woke up and said, I'm insecure about this. Now choose, after 4 months of us being together and now I'm in love.
I'll say this. It's a two-way street though. I hate when you can really, 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 really change a story based on the words you use in the story. To say that he waited for her to fall in love with him, to say that is like he's this fucking master schemer that had this fucking plot. Like, I'm sure if you look at it on the other way, he didn't start feeling that way until he started to fall in love with her. Right. Once again, I don't really agree with his emotions or opinions on this matter, but I do respect the fact that he was mature enough to do the thing. I already covered that. The point is, maybe he started to feel that way is because he started to fall in love with her. And so that started to bring out the insecurities in him. So to like make it sound like he waited for her to fall in love, makes him sound like he's fucking creating a plot, right? For example, if you say like John, if you say John had sex with a 15-year-old girl, that sounds really fucking bad. But you left out the fact that John was also 15 because he was in high school and he had sex with his girlfriend in high school. Like if there's a guy named John that's 30 and you say, did you know John had sex with a 15-year-old girl? Or like if you're on the stand at court and they say yes or no, you can't say anything else. Have you ever had sex with a 15-year-old girl? It's like, you're leaving out context. I was 15. You know what I mean? That's my point.
That's a very big deal.
You can change the words in a story or leave words out of a story, and it really can change the context of what is being said. I just think that's a really weird way to word it. It's like he's a fucking movie villain and he was plotting on her falling in love and then him trying to trap her. I think probably the other thing is also equally true. He started to fall in love with her, which started to bring out his insecurities, which is why he said those things.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that this is definitely a multi-layered thing, and I agree with everything you said, Kenny, and I've had my own opinions about it as well, but I do feel like she's dragging it a bit, right? Because, he's a celebrity, and she posted this for the whole internet to see, which is really obnoxious to post private text messages between you and an ex-lover and be like, this is what he used to do to me, and I'm
over the like airing people out and like exposing them, like unless they're fucking hard, like. Obviously, it doesn't need to be as bad as Harvey Weinstein. But my point is, unless they're actually doing shit that needs to be exposed,
right?
I'm over the like, me and this person don't get along, so like I'm going to expose them. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. All right, well, we're going to wrap this episode up. We still have like 2 listener letters that I really, really want to get to, but we're already almost 2 hours in. And so I'm just going to save them for a later date because I feel bad. But if you do want us to read your listener letters out, write into IMNerdpodcast@gmail.com and we will read them aloud on the show eventually. The 2 that we have, though, they are timeless. Like they're not something based on current events anyway. One of them is based on an anime, is about Bakugo, and the other one is based on a kid who played Platinum Angel at a Magic Gathering tournament, and it's just like a really epic story. So both the people who sent them in, I love both of you guys. You guys are in the I'm Their Podcast Discord server, so we will read them out. I haven't forgotten about you guys. They're literally starred in our email address, but we definitely
want to get to them. Another thing we wanted to talk about, and maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode when we do the listener letters, not the next episode, but I wanted to go over some of the new anime that are coming out because there's some interesting season 2 specifically that are randomly coming out.
Jujutsu Kaisen just started, and so did Bleach. And also, I hear that the big 3 are about to all air at the same time. Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece are all about to be airing again at the same time, which hasn't happened in like, I don't know, almost 10 years.
Oh, that's crazy.
Shit. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, there's JJK season 2, there's Jobless Reincarnation season 2, there's fucking Bleach reboot season 2, and then there's some season 2s to some lesser known anime that I like, and then the Kenshin remake, and then other things I wanted to chat. So we'll chat about those at a later date. This anime season, but there's some pretty interesting stuff coming down the pipeline.
I agree. So Kenny, why don't you get the Patreon together? I'm going to read out the names. Also, I just noticed something. So you need to sort the Patreon by active. So there's like a thing when you're reading out the names. There's like active, cancel, payment decline, new this month. There's like a whole bunch of different things that you can check off. So check off the active one. That's what I always do. So that way it like actually shows the people who are currently still on our Patreon. Because right now there's 62 people. But if you take off the active thing, dear God, yeah, those are like people who've been there in the past. It basically is everyone who's ever joined the Patreon, which we don't really need to read out everyone. So okay. So the people who are currently still active, we want to give you a shout out as always. So we have Connie. Ronathan kept scrubbing inside event finals.
Oh my God.
Leon, Stardust Dragon Assault Mode gave me PTSD. Xavier, Hylian, Dimitri Barnes, Volvi knows a spot.
Wait, was that Hydro Pump?
No, Hydro Pump has not come up yet. Who'd you think was Hydro Pump?
Stardust Dragon Assault Mode gave me PTSD.
That's Josh Quest, because I did a shadow game with him recently and I used Stardust Assault Mode.
My bad, Hydro Pump. I thought, because I mean it would give me PTSD.
Volvi knows a spot in the woods, which is my good friend Vinny. Not Volvi knows a spot in the woods. This is too much. Dominique Roberts, Giovanni Avalos, Alex Flamer, Andre Reynolds. Hold on, let me get to page 2. Dan Vrabel. Shout out to Dan. First to home, Estat Akuma, Mitchell Naus. So that's actually Hydro. Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Dimitri Safiras, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey, KJ, Roz Weiss, Nick Stango, Hanto, our 2-time national champion. Ka Chan is a poorly written character. That's one of the listener letters that we have to get to. Sarah Maria, Sunny Top Cut Podcast, Alex Ahern, Philip Campa, Chris Lynn, Wookie 159, MSW 2389, Edison Club, Kyle Batelho, Brandon Moore, Sugal, Nick, Mr. Soltai, Nafa, Corey Fauser, Omar Ramos, Elijah Barfault, and then we have
a true hero, Tyler Tadeo, Volvi, the Mega Monarch, Big Stinky, Duty Booty, Adam Corey, Enraged Peacock, Leo Bacani, Janitor 215, My Spot in the Woods Has No Racism.
Oh shit.
That's someone's name.
Oh shit.
Thomas Rude, Joshua, Steve Rogers, Wayne Trader, Eric Chai, Finesse Kid, Tim Amaya, Owen Tedford, and Jeff Strain. Wait, hold on. I know Jeff Strain.
Yes, you do. It's Little Jeff from AU. Yep. Shout out to Little Jeff for joining the IMNerdpodcast Patreon. I appreciate you, King. Also, shout out to Owen Tedford and Tim Amaya. I feel like these are all 3 new people. Maybe Finesse Kid is too.
Finesse Kid is new. I don't recall reading Finesse Kid on the last episode, so I believe Finesse Kid is new as well.
Yeah, so shout out to the 4 of you, Finesse Kid, Tim Amaya, Owen Tedford, and Jeff Strain. Thank you guys so much. Also, if you don't know, maybe you probably know by now, but if you don't know, you can change your display name on Patreon, and then when we read it out, we have to read out whatever you put.
You can get shit like My Spot in the Woods Has No Racism,
correct.
or Volvi Knows a Spot in the Woods,
or Volvi the Mega Monarch, right? So there's people are having fun with it. I advise you to do the same thing if you want to, or if you want me to shout out. Let's say you have a business or a card store or something that you want us to say. We will be saying it every episode if you change your display name to that. So just something to consider. But thank you guys so much for the support. We really appreciate you. Also, if you are, well, by the time you're hearing this, I guess the episode will be out, but we do put exclusive stuff out on the Patreon, including monthly episodes. I don't know if it shows up on mobile the same way, but I heard that on mobile, I don't really know how to do it, or maybe you can't do it at all. There's a thing where you can sort it by what we tag the episodes as on Patreon. So for example, all of the episodes that are monthly Patreon exclusive, meaning that they are nowhere else but Patreon, I tag every single one of them. So that way, you know, straight up that it is a monthly exclusive and you can just watch all of those independently without having to scroll through, because we have hundreds of videos on Patreon right now. And I would hate for anybody to have to scroll through all of that shit to get to like what they want to see. So if you're on a desktop, you can actually use a sort function where you can click on monthly extra episode, or you can click on just Yu-Gi-Oh, or just Yu-Gi-Oh guest, or just TV shows, or just listener letter episodes, or just optional boss episodes, or just movie episodes, or just rants in general. There's all types of episodes. There's 2 on food. There's 12 on Marvel. There's 9 that are 2 masters. There's 6 shadow games. There's like all types of episodes, and they're all tagged. So on a desktop, or basically, on anything that's not mobile, you can actually use Patreon to sort it by specifically the kind of episode you're looking for, and you will find it that way. Now, on mobile, I was talking to Hydro Pump, and he was saying, oh, I didn't know that because on mobile, I can't really see that. And I don't know if you even can do it on mobile. It's kind of annoying if you can't, though. Like, that's just fucking annoying if you can't do that. I feel like that should be a basic functionality.
It's got to be somewhat. Maybe if it's not there at all, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe, though, and this is still not just as bad, but still bad. Maybe it's just hard to get to, because I know sometimes mobile apps, the way you navigate them is like so fucking backwards, and like things are just hidden in like drawers in the weirdest way. So I don't know.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, there's a lot on our Patreon, and we will be doing a exclusive episode for the month of July, which will be coming up soon. I also put up an episode that is early access because I always try to post as many early access throughout the month as possible before it gets to YouTube. So there's one on becoming a better Yu-Gi-Oh player. That's been posted since Monday. So by the time you're hearing this, that episode will probably be on YouTube eventually, but at the time that we're recording this, it's still exclusive to just Patreon people. And it looks like a couple people have actually watched it already. But yeah, check that stuff out. Make sure you're checking your emails because a lot of the notifications for Patreon, they come through your email first. Also, if you are not in our Discord, but you already have joined the Patreon, message me on Patreon and I can get you a link to join the Discord. And if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know and I will be sure to respond. I respond to every single message that comes through for the Patreon account because it comes through our email. And then I'm always checking email because I naturally just very crazy about making sure I don't have any notifications on my email address. So anyways, guys, as always say, do the things that make you happy, including telling your spouse that they can't do shit they used to do when you got with them. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, including going out to Chubby Cattle with your friends and having a great time eating a bunch of food and then being scared that you might have ordered too much of it.
And then hiding all the fucking food in that shit was so funny to me. The idea of hiding the food in the pot is the funniest shit ever to me. Yeah. That is so goddamn funny.
Yes. So, all right, guys, we're getting out of here. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.
Peace.